Hi there. Welcome into the CHGO Angel Reese podcast. The CHGO Sky podcast. We have half an hour full of Angel Reese talk from her recap of her WNBA rookie season to Angel Reese, the unrivaled basketball player, to Angel Reese, the cultural icon. We have so much to get to right after this. What's up and welcome to the CHGO Sky podcast. I'm Katy Duffy. I'm so excited to be back with you today. We're going to bring Steven in just a second. We have so much to get to regarding Angel Reese, her rookie career, and everything else that she has going for her in the future, especially with the upcoming Unrivaled season. Tip-off is on Friday. Angel's first game is on Saturday. So before Steven comes in, I want to draw your attention to the article that he put out earlier this week about Angel's rookie campaign. He dove deep into all the numbers, into her strengths, her weaknesses, where she can improve, all of those things. So that's on allchgo.com. And then I also want to tell you about a few of the accomplishments that she had in her rookie season. So let me read these off for you. Second most rebounds in a single season in WNBA history. That's 446 rebounds. Most double-doubles by a rookie, and the second most by a player in WNBA history. That's 26. Fastest to 400 rebounds in WNBA history, doing it in just 32 games. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. To be the fastest person to reach 400 as a rookie is absolutely insane. And then defensive rating for the Sky. This is something that we'll get into a little bit more when Steven comes in, but the defensive rating with Angel Reese on the floor for the Chicago Sky, 101.4. When she is off the floor, 112.4. So huge difference that Angel was making out there defensively as well. Absolutely, without a doubt, one of the best rookie seasons of all time, even with her missing those last 6 games with the wrist injury. Just unparalleled greatness from Angel in her rookie season, with Camila Cardoso as well. So a couple things that we're going to get to today. Like I mentioned, Unrivaled is kicking off this week. First game on Friday, and then Angel on Saturday. Let's take a look at some of the people that are going to be on her team. Angel is on the Rose Basketball Club with Unrivaled. You see the roster there. Thank you, Sarah. She's got Chelsea Gray, Brittany Sykes, Kalia Copper, and Ezra Stevens, and Lexi Hull. Couple familiar names there. Obviously, Kalia Copper, huge part of the Sky's championship winning team in 2021. Really cool to see them paired together. Obviously, that was before Angel's time, but it's going to be really cool to see them play side by side. And we already had just a little bit of that like recruiting fun going on Twitter, with Angel telling Kalia, hey, come on over back to Chicago. We could have a lot of fun together. Absolutely would love to see that. And I am curious to get Steven's take as well. Speaking of Unrivaled, if you are new to the women's basketball scene, you are not the only person that doesn't understand what's happening with Unrivaled basketball. Traditionally, WNBA players in the offseason for the WNBA go overseas to play for clubs in Russia, China, Turkey's a big one, all of those things so that they can make enough money to sustain themselves in the WNBA offseason. What's happening this season is a little bit different. So Unrivaled was founded by a few former WNBA players, former and current WNBA players, to keep players here in the States in the offseason, partially because it's just better for their, injuries and general energy levels when they get to the WNBA season, for them to be home during the offseason rather than, going through all that travel. And then also for them to continue playing against each other rather than playing against, a few WNBA players and a whole bunch of international players. They're all going to be playing against each other. Some of the names that we have in Unrivaled this season, you have Brianna Stewart, who is one of the founders. Obviously, Chelsea Gray, like we mentioned. You've got Kalia Copper, who we mentioned, Natasha Cloud, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Brittany Griner, some of the biggest names in the WNBA that are going to be playing Unrivaled this season. Super exciting time. I'm super excited to see what happens with this league. I think it's really phenomenal that we now have an option for players in the off season to stay home. And I think Steven probably feels the same way. So I am very curious to get his thoughts on this. And a lot of it has been made about the recruiting aspect of Unrivaled. Traditionally in the NBA, you see players go through this kind of recruiting period at the Olympics and in the All-Star game. The W is absolutely the same way. And this is now another avenue for them to try to get into, creating super teams or just figuring out who they want to play with next. Appreciate Leticia in the comments who says Angels game is Friday. That's completely my bad. I think I said Saturday. Appreciate you calling me out there. We've also got Nathan in the chat who's saying, let's go Sky, a huge Angel Reese fan. Let's get that championship soon. Absolutely. I would love another championship. I think we all would. And then FYM franchise, I heard Angel's been recruiting all the girlies to the Sky. LMAO. Absolutely. I hope she is because that would be awesome. And we did see a little bit of that, like I mentioned, on Twitter with her and Kalia Copper. One of the questions that I'm really excited to ask Steven is which player he would want to see from Rose Basketball Club in Unrivaled come on over to the Chicago Sky to play with Angel after this Unrivaled season. If you guys have a preference, let me know. We're going to get into that just a little bit later. And then we're also going to talk about what we want to see from Angel improvements this season. More people hanging out in the chat with us. Teddy says Rose have a back-to-back. That's a rough way to start the Unrivaled season. Melissa, can't wait for the season to start back up. Me too. Thank you for being here. And then Region Rev, let's get new CHGO Sky merch, please. I 1000% agree. I have 0 CHGO Sky merch. We need to work on this. We need to get something Angel related. I'm going to put it together. We're going to do some Angel puns. And it's going to be great. Me and Sarah are going to talk about that today.
I love Angel Reese. I've always been a big fan of her.
Cultural icon.
She is a cultural icon.
She was recently on the cover of Vogue. If you guys haven't seen that,
yes, she was.
Absolutely stunning cover. She has just been killing it in the off season. You've seen her with Meg Thee Stallion, showing up to some of her concerts.
Didn't she show up to Lala?
She did.
Yeah, she was
on stage at Lala with Meg Thee Stallion. It was so cool. It's just really, really cool to see everything that Angel is doing off the court. And I know we talked about this last time I was on the show, but everything that Angel is doing off the court, not only, on the cover of Vogue, at Lollapalooza, but also now at Unrivaled Basketball, all of that we hope is going to translate into the Sky, bringing bigger and better players onto our roster. Angel is the recruiting strategy right now. If you're a WNBA free agent and you're looking at the Chicago Sky, new coach, phenomenal, great. You love to see that. But knowing that you can play side by side with Angel Reese, who had an amazing rookie season and is only going to get better, that is 1000% the Sky's recruiting strategy. And I think it's so exciting to see that she's taking that to heart. She's taking that very seriously, and she's working very hard to bring more people in. Melissa says, Angel is that girl for real. She's unstoppable on all fronts. Absolutely. And then updates on Camila Cardoso. We can ask Steven about that. It's really hard to get information on any of those international leagues. So that is definitely going to be a Steven question. I mentioned his article off the top, and I know that he's going to want to talk about it as well. But the second line in the article, I think, really explains Angel Reese as a player in her rookie season. It says, Reese came in and was immediately a magnet as a cultural figure in multiple respects. Cultural figure is a huge word, or a huge phrase, excuse me. And I think that really encapsulates her perfectly. Not only was she phenomenal on the court, like we've talked about, she did a lot of things off the court, like we talked about. But in general, Angel brought so much significance and relevance to Chicago the moment she was drafted. if you are a general Chicago fan, you know that we don't have a lot going on. The Bulls are bad. The Blackhawks are not great. Baseball is in the same boat. So the two biggest stars or three biggest stars in Chicago right now, Connor Bedard, Caleb Williams, and Angel Reese. And it's huge for the Sky to have that kind of player on their team because we haven't had it. We had, Candace Parker was the last one. And then Kalia Copper, we thought was going to become that person. But unfortunately, we traded Ka away. Couple other things going on in the chat. Nathan, I personally think the Chicago Sky should invest in a bigger state-of-the-art arena. I would love that. Wintrust is so fun, but we need more. And let me be clear, whatever arena they invest in needs to have cup holders. I'm really sick of putting drinks on the ground. It's ridiculous. And then Angel effortlessly gets into places women's hoops haven't had access to for decades. I love the way that's worded. Shout out to FYM and the franchise in the comments. That's a phenomenal way to say it. Places that we haven't had access to. You saw it when she was in college. You see it now. Her on the Sky. Cultural leader for sure is a true statement. I 1000% agree. Angel's just going to be taking us to places that we have never been. Really excited to welcome in CHGO from sunny and beautiful Phoenix. I'm not jealous. Steven, how's it going?
It's going well. Just had a very, very busy morning, but we are here. What have I missed out on?
I'm just rambling about how amazing Angel Reese is, honestly. Yeah, we went through a couple of her accomplishments in her rookie season, and I would love to hear more from you on that. We talked a little bit about your article. So let's start. Super blanket statement. What did you like from Angel Reese in her rookie season for the Chicago Sky?
I would say the leadership more than anything. It's easy to see how her game would translate because of the ways in which she goes about operating on the court. But biggest thing being earning the respect of players that have spent multiple different volumes of years on a professional level without, her presence. And for her to come in and for everybody to be so receptive and really even rally around her to the extent that the team took on her identity, I think that speaks volumes to just the reach that she has and how historically is you can count on maybe one hand how many people have had that type of impact instantly upon stepping onto the women's basketball on a professional level to that stage.
Yeah, I think her leadership is something that's been super underrated because you really can't quantify it with any player ever. But absolutely, you saw those players rally around her. You heard what they said when she went down with an injury. Like, this was devastating for them. And I think her leadership is really something that hasn't been talked about enough. And I'm glad that you brought that up. I did want to bring up. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Just quickly. I think that's a distinguishing factor for her across all rookies, especially in this rookie class, all different types of talents. But that being something unique that she brings to the table, it really just speaks to how unique of a individual she is as a young woman, but also as a basketball player.
Yeah, as a rookie, that's so rare. Absolutely. So we ran through a few of the accomplishments that she had in her rookie season. And I would love to talk more about that, but I would like to actually start with areas of improvement. Because I think that moving forward, there are things that we want to see from Angel, things I want to see her work on in the offseason, and I know you feel the same way. So let's move over to that. What do you want to see improve for her going into next season?
Maybe the biggest thing that I want to see from her to improve going into the next season is the confidence. We saw her experimenting with the three-point shot. We saw her experimenting with creating off the dribble. We saw her experimenting with playing the post. Sometimes it felt like the pace of it all coming together felt like it was exploratory at times. And I think that's natural when you're doing something and operating in certain ways that you may not have on a certain volume in roles that, preceded where you are now. So now it's just taking all of that she showed she can do and all that she showed that she could do on a collegiate level and finding pockets to implement that on a professional level and doing that with the skill development over this off-season period that matches in the areas that she needs to improve in. So that's kind of where I would start with that question. I'm curious what's caught your eye there and what you think about just kind of places that she could potentially improve in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on improving her confidence. I loved seeing her experiment with things last season because I think that's exactly what you want to see from a rookie. But yeah, her confidence definitely I would love to see improve on. One of the things you touched on in your article that I wholeheartedly agreed with was shooting. She's taken a lot of criticism for it. We can take a look at some of her shooting numbers, specifically broken down by distance here. So less than 5 feet, just 44.5%. That's something that should be way higher, especially for somebody as tall as Angel Reese and as dominant in the post as Angel Reese. And then 5 to 9 feet, again, just 11%. We want to see more than that. I think this is something that is difficult to focus on in an off season when you're not playing against WNBA players. I think this is one of the things that's really going to improve after we see her with Unrivaled. Because when you're coming out of college and you're used to playing against college players, once you get in the post with those WNBA players that are just as tall as you, just as strong as you, if not stronger, it's way harder to finish. So I think we're seeing these kind of concerning numbers, and I definitely want to see her improve on that going into next season. So hopefully that's something that gets a lot better as she's working with Unrivaled, playing against those exact same players that we saw her play against last season, and we'll see her play against next season. And then one of the other things you mentioned that is just kind of unquantifiable is her footwork in the post. I definitely want to see her continue to improve on that.
Yeah, I think you made some great points. I'll start with the less than 5 feet field goal percentage number. It was around 44.5%. That's one of the biggest areas where I feel like if she improves that, she instantly jumps up potentially 4 to 6 points per game, just easily because she's grabbing equally that, if not more on average in terms of offensive rebounds. So a lot of those shots that she's getting that's in the restricted area or near the restricted area, if she's putting those in with more consistency, which she showed to do on the latter half of the season and compared to the first half of it, that's a huge jump for a player that was already an all-star and already the best player on the team for a good majority of the season before Kennedy started to make her ascension at the end. But just looking at that and putting that part, finishing around the basket, and tandem with the next point that you brought up with her footwork in the post and just generally around the basket, that's something that she spoke to having conversations with Tina Charles about after a matchup early in the season with the Atlanta Dream and how she can improve. And just generally being patient, I feel like is another piece because for a lot of post players on a professional level, some players might have the footwork, but mentally the game might be a little quick for them. So that forces them to act a little bit quicker on their decision making than normally. And then it works the other way around as well. Sometimes the game is slower for players just because of their understanding of the game, but their footwork isn't up to speed with where it needs to be for their advantage that their mind can create to match with their footwork. So I feel like she was in a happy medium place with that. And towards the latter end of the season before the injury, she really showed that she married where her mental was with where her footwork was. And we saw her playing off of pump fakes and playing off of pivots, getting a lot of and ones, finishing top 5 and ones as a rookie is incredible. And again, if she's finishing at the basket more consistently, I don't see a reason why she can't be flirting with Asia Wilson in terms of being the best at and one field goal percentage and the volume there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that is really heartening for me to see going into this next season is the Sky adding Courtney Paris as an assistant coach. She's got a ton of experience working with young front courts, and I'm really excited to see what she can do with Angel to kind of improve on those things. I also want to touch briefly on their defense. This stood out to me like a highlighted blinking sign in your article. These numbers of defensive rating on and off the floor for Angel. When Angel's on the floor, the Sky have a defensive rating of 101.4. When she is off the floor, 112.4. I mean, that's a massive difference. It's just showing you how much of a threat she is defensively in the post. And I would love to hear what you think makes her so good on defense. What's leading to those numbers? And where do you think she can go with her defense from here?
I'll preface with that number being such a stark difference when she's on compared to when she's off. If it wasn't her rookie campaign, and even past with it being her rookie campaign, if the Sky had a top 5 record, she would have been firmly thrusted into MVP conversations with context to match. Like numbers like that stark of a double-digit difference in defensive efficiency when you're on the court versus when you're off. That is incredible. And it just speaks to just how impactful she is. Like I got to talk to her, I mentioned it in an article as well. I talked to her during exit interviews about the modern sense of what a defensive anchor is. I know a lot of people think of defensive anchors like Sylvia Fowles, for instance, someone that's operating solely around the paint more than anything else and just deterring shots, if not outright blocking shots. And Angel takes that, but takes it into an evolved version because she's able to have that same impact switching onto smaller defenders on the perimeter and keeping them from turning the corner and just generally stopping the flow of an opposing offense while also still having those anchor dynamics and communication and impact and being given freelance ability from a head coach to go off script at times if it's going to be a positive for the team. So she has all of those intangibles. She matches it with the physical abilities and athleticism to just be a wrecking ball on defense. And, you know, she wears that crown extremely well for the team. And I think her communication, in addition to her physical abilities, is something that has really made her one of the best defenders in the WNBA upon stepping into the WNBA.
Yeah, I mean, the chat seems to agree with you as well. FYM franchise saying also Angel's defense was elite her rookie year. And then T Carmella saying not the tallest in the post, but she definitely has the most heart. And I think that is completely accurate. So I mentioned it a couple times, what we want to see her improve on in Unrivaled. We did take a look at the roster around her earlier, and I would love to get your thoughts on who she's going to be playing with. But I will say I am just unrealistically pumped to see her play with Chelsea Gray. I think a point guard is something we can agree was kind of missing on the Sky, and we want to see them add going forward. So I am just freaking pumped to see her play with Chelsea Gray, like one of the best guards in the W. So what are you looking forward to? Is there anybody on that roster that you're excited to see her team up with?
Yeah, honestly, Kalia Copper. I feel like they're very much kindred spirits. They have this disposition about them that is very, like, it's open, it's friendly, but it's also very much no nonsense at the same time, especially once the ball is in play on the basketball court and they flip the switch, and when the dog is barking within them in their respective games, it's loud and it's contagious. And that's the leadership part that I'm speaking to with her intangibles that obviously Kalia Copper has in spades. And I think that kindred spirit dynamic between both of those two is something that's going to be positive. I think that also Angela spoke to me, and I wrote about it in the article, that she played the wing in high school. Obviously, Kalia Copper is one of the elite wings in the W, if not the outright best wing in the WNBA, depending on who you're talking to. I think there's a lot that she can learn in practice with someone like Kalia Copper if they're just working on refined skills and just speaking the game and seeing it and even just asking and inquiring about it from Kalia's all-star MVP caliber lens is something that she can only grow from. So that part, firstly with Kalia, and then obviously with Chelsea Gray, I think having somebody that can make any pass at any given moment and play in any context to play as a lead guard for someone that screens as much as Angel Reese does, I think will help her a ton. But past just her receiving passes from Chelsea Gray, I think the communication part, Chelsea is just a student of the game. And what she can help with Angel, which I feel like is another area of skill development for Angel that she'll bring into 2025, is understanding the ins and outs of pick and roll, understanding screening angles, how long to hold for certain guards versus how quickly can you get into the role, and just generally processing the game and feeling the game a little bit quicker through. All of those things are going to help Angel going into her sophomore year.
Yeah, definitely Kalia Copper. I'm so pumped to see them next to each other. And also just, for the nostalgia feeling of watching them play together. It's going to be awesome to see, our former star and our current stars side by side. Mm-hmm. Steven, I'm wondering if you can dream with me for a moment here. Let's pretend that one of us is a genie and we can take one of these players on Angel's Unrivaled team and bring them back to Chicago. Who is that player for you? Obviously, this is hypothetical. None of this is happening, maybe. But who is that player for you? Who do you want to see come back to the Sky if we could magically make it happen?
Well, I'm operating off of the operative word magically, and I'm looking no further than Candace Parker. I don't think there's a better answer. If you bring Candace Parker for Angel to, not that she needs to be an understudy to somebody, but for her to just naturally gravitate to, anytime you hear, she just got done answering questions about who she would give flowers to, who deserves flowers in the professional athlete hemisphere. And she said she's only speaking women. And she mentioned Candace Parker. And anytime she has an opportunity to, she does just that. Being able to learn the ins and outs from a player that she's molded her game after, and someone that played the game in an evolved version 10, 15 years in advance from how it's being played now, the growth that could come from that, from Candace and having a relationship with Angel in a direct sense, practice, traveling, games, watching film, and all of the little things in between there, it would be ridiculously incredible. And I think that also Candace is one of the few players that can relate to the gravity that Angel has in an off-the-court sense. And again, not that Angel needs help with how she wears her crown off the court, but that would just make everything in terms of her growing and developing happen that much more rapidly. And it would just be space for her to grow off of on the court and off the court.
Yeah, I'm 1000% with you. I'm really excited. Or I would be really excited to see Candace come back. I think, Candace Parker, the team owner, sounds great to me. Like, that has a really great ring to it. I would love to see it. And then, on the court, obviously I mentioned Chelsea Gray. Would love to see her come back. In our last couple minutes here, Angel has her first game on Friday. I misspoke earlier. I said Saturday. Everybody, it's Friday. Her first game on Friday with Unrivaled. They're going to be playing against the Vinyl. A lot of good players on the Vinyl as well. Ray Burrell, Ryan Howard, Aaliyah Boston, Jordan Canada, to name a few. I'm excited to see her go up against them. And Steven, I'm wondering, do you think Angel can have a really good first game here, or do you think somebody's going to be giving her trouble on the Vinyl?
I think she's going to have a really good first game. I think she's chomping at the bit to showcase her skill development that's taking place between when she had the hand injury, or wrist injury rather, at the end of the season and where she is now. And I think in addition to that, the 3-on-3 elements of Unrivaled give her so much more space to operate in without having to worry about another help defender. So it's going to be a lot of one-on-one. And I think Angel is going to benefit greatly from that, but also is going to benefit from the space that playing in pick and roll with Kalia Copper and Chelsea Gray in particular is going to provide for her as well. I think she's going to be really, really good. Not having to worry about extra bodies when you're that great on the offensive glass as well is something that she's going to thrive in. And I'm really itching to see her with the defensive rebounds that she grabs, not even looking at outlet pass, but just grabbing and going, because she has that skill. It's just about leaning more into that, getting game-like reps and building that confidence. And I think Unrivaled presents her with unrivaled opportunities at developing and showcasing all of those skills that I spoke to.
Yeah, I think the 3x3 format is going to play so well for her. I think back to when Stephanie Dolson went and played 3x3 in the Olympics and just freaking dominated. Like, I think we're going to see that from Angel as well. The bigs really get just so much play in 3x3. They're really, really phenomenal. Running out of time here, Steven, give me a prediction here. Unrivaled, first game for Angel Reese. Does the team win? And what do you think about her stat line?
Angel and Kalia Copper and Chelsea Gray, alpha level dogs, they're not losing.
Okay.
I'm not sure what Angel's stat line is going to look like. I'll say that she grabs like 15 rebounds though. I'm about confident in that as I am in anything else. And she might get 10 points off of the rebounds that she's grabbing alone. So let's just say 10 and 15 and like 4 assists for Angel in her first game.
Okay, that's a big stat line. I'm excited to see if that happens.
Big stat line for a big level athlete. It's chomping at the bit to get back in the competition.
Oh yeah, no, she's got to be chomping at the bit. I know she missed competing in those last 6 games. Yeah. I'm excited to see it. I have a lot of confidence in Angel, but I don't want to go that far out in my prediction for just the first game. I think 10 points does sound about right. I'm going to say 9 rebounds. Assists, I have no idea. I'm going to say 2 assists. I don't want to be an Angel Reese. I'm not saying she's not going to have an amazing game, but I'm just a little bit concerned about how she's going to come back from that injury. Either way, we'll find out on Friday. We will come back about 2 weeks from now and speak with you guys again about how Angel is doing in Unrivaled. But that is our time for today. Steven, you got anything else before we let the fine folks go?
Yeah, before our next episode, I'll have some written content out. Just kind of reviewing Camila Cardoso's rookie season, one that was also historic in her own respects, and just kind of highlighting the same way we did with Angel, areas for improvement, strengths, and just kind of giving a glimpse at what we can expect from Camila in 2024 with Tyler Marsh as her head coach this go around.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that. Excited to read that. Hit the like on your way out if you haven't done it already. Appreciate all of you for joining, and we will talk to you in about 2 weeks. Go Skytown.